If you're thinking about buying your first home, the scariest part usually isn't the investment or the market. It's that you don't actually know what the path looks like. So it's easy to freeze and never even start. And then the right place comes along and you're not ready to move on it. You miss out. I've helped over 1,600 families on our team buy and sell homes over the last decade. And the ones who end up in a home they love almost never start with the house. They start with the process they can follow, a proven process. So that's exactly what I'm going to hand you today in this video. The whole game plan laid out step by step from the moment you start thinking about buying all the way until closing day when you get the keys. Wherever you are in this right now, you'll be able to find your spot and pick it up from there. Grab something to write with because this is going to be the roadmap I wish every buyer had before they made their first move. Let's dive right into it. Step one, we got to get clear on why you are buying. This is super important. We got to slow down to speed up later. Before you look at a single listing, the first step is to get honest about why you're buying, because that one answer is what keeps you from making expensive emotional decisions later. Don't just run out and start looking at houses. Take the time to go through this and do it right. For most people, buying a house is one of the largest financial transactions of their lives. In our market, you're likely spending $700,000, $800,000, $900,000. It takes time, and it is worth the time to plan this correctly. You see, most people never stop to ask this because buying a house just becomes the next thing you're supposed to do. People tell you this is, hey, you're an adult, you've got kids, buy a house, don't be a renter. So you got the apartment, then the relationship, then the job, and now everyone around you is buying, so you figure, hey, I should probably do that too. The problem is that when you don't know your real reason, you get pulled around by the news cycles, by what your friends are doing, trying to time the market, and by the fear of missing out. And that's how people end up overpaying for the wrong house. So sit down, away from your phone, and write down why you actually want to buy a home. Maybe you're done renting and you're done with having a landlord. Maybe you've got a growing family and you need the space. Maybe you're relocating for work. Maybe you want just radical stability that comes with home ownership, not moving your family around or your household around every couple of years. Or maybe you just want something that is simply yours. Whatever it is, let's get it on paper because every decision from here runs through that reason. It runs through that filter. And the buyers who have it stay calm while everyone else is panicking and scrambling about one particular house. Step number two, we got to get your money in order. I've done lots of videos about preparing yourself financially to buy a house. Check some of those out. But the second step is getting your financial house in order before you ever even talk to a lender. And this is the part that most people would rather just skip past. Let's face it, getting a mortgage is not fun. Looking at houses is fun, so it's easy just to bypass this until you find that right house. That is a huge mistake that more often than not results in actually not getting the home of your dreams. What that means is you want to look at what's coming in and what's going out every month financially, because buying a house does not fix a budget that's already leaking. It just adds pressure to what you already have. So get a real picture of your spending, see whether you're actually able to save each month or whether your debt keeps climbing, and clean up whatever you find. At the same time, start protecting your credit because the difference between a good credit score and a rough credit score can cost or save you a fortune over the life of the loan. And the items that drag a score down take time to fix. So the earlier you look, the better. Some people rather just have the blinders on. They don't want to know how bad it is. And so they never even check it. Don't be that guy. Even if it's a 580, 600 credit score, you want to know what it is so you can specifically take steps proactively to improve it before you actually get serious about buying a house. This one thing alone in this video will save you tens of thousands of dollars buying a home. This is also where the affordability math lives, like how much you actually need to save, what kind of down payment your loan calls for, and how the different loan options compare. And that's a big enough topic that you don't want to rush it. For right now, though, the goal of this sage is very simple, and it's three things. It's steady income, it's a budget you actually understand, and credit that's as clean as you can get it before a lender even sees it. Side note, I really like, and we personally use, my wife and I use Monarch Money. They've got a management app for your spending and your budgeting. It makes budgeting super easy. I would say it almost makes budgeting borderline fun. And it connects to all your accounts, automating most of the money management process. So it takes the pain out of the process. Step number three, though, let's set your real targets. Once your money is in order, step three is getting the targets you're actually going to shop against. And this is what stops your budget from creeping up on you a little bit at a time. Without a hard number, every house is just a little more than the last one. And that 10,000 here, that 30,000 there, it adds up to real dollars and cents every single month. And until you're looking at homes that you were never even comfortable affording. So you got to set the ceiling, the max, before you even start looking, not in the middle of falling for a house. Write down the maximum monthly payment you're truly comfortable with, not the biggest number a lender will approve you for, then write down a preferred number that sits a little bit below it. From that monthly payment, a few other targets fall into place. Your price range, which is just the home price that produces the monthly payment you settled on. Most people buy a house for how much cash they're gonna have to put down and how much the monthly payment's going to be, not the actual purchase price of the house. The purchase price of the house doesn't translate into a monthly budget at all. So you have to do that homework to figure out what it's going to be. But your cash to close, which is your down payment plus your closing costs, the actual money you need on hand to get the deal done. Your moving budget, because it costs real money to actually move in. And people forget about furniture, deposits, and all the little things that pile up the first month when you move into that new house. So when those numbers are written down, you can look at any house and know in about 10 seconds whether it even belongs on your list. And you can also disqualify lots of homes that just don't meet the budget. Step number 4, get pre-approved with a lender. Step number 4 is talking to a loan officer and getting pre-approved. And you want to do this before you ever even call a real estate agent, not after. People get this order backwards all the time because they want to go look at houses first, since that's the fun part, like I said. But a good agent is going to ask if you've been pre-approved before they spend a weekend driving you around. And more importantly, sellers won't take your offer seriously without it. You can't even offer a home without a pre-approval letter. Getting pre-approved is what makes you a real serious buyer instead of someone who's just browsing, kicking the tires, and it gives you a precise picture of your price range instead of merely a guess. When you get pre-approved, the lender is going to verify your income and your assets. So expect to handle your ID, your last couple years of tax returns and W-2s, recent bank statements, and a recent pay. Getting all that into one folder, maybe Google Drive, Dropbox, whatever. Doing this early makes the whole step painless, and the cleaner you come in, the faster everything moves. Make sure to send me a message if you want to get connected with the absolute best lenders that will take exceptional care of you. Doesn't matter where you're at in the United States, we have a lender partner who will take world-class care of you and help you get your mortgage done. I also recommend, as a side note, not getting a loan or a mortgage from your bank. Banks are really good at checking accounts, savings accounts, credit cards. They're not so great when it comes to mortgages. I want a mortgage-specific lender all day long. They're going to close quicker. They're going to close with more confidence than the bank is going to have. They're also going to close faster, so it's much more of a sure thing. For banks, mortgages are just a tiny sliver of their business, and they don't specialize in it. We want a specialist, not a generalist. Step number 5, decide exactly what you want and where you want it at. With your financing now locked in, step 5 is getting specific about what you actually want and which neighborhoods you want it in, because I want to buy in the city is not really a plan. I want you to create 2 lists. The first is the most important, and we're going to call this list the must-haves. Think of these as the non-negotiables for your house, and try to narrow these down to the most critical 3 to 5 things. Not 10, not 12, 3 to 5. Think square footage, beds, baths, floor plans, etc. The really big ticket stuff you can't change later. The second list is what we call the nice to have. And just like it sounds, these are not deal killers if they don't exist, but you'd love to have them if you could get them. Could be something like a fenced backyard or quartz counters. I also want to remind you that there are certain things in a home that you can easily change later on and things that you cannot change so easily. You cannot change the location. You can't change backing up to a busy road or having a bad floor plan, but you can easily fence a backyard, swap out floor coverings, or upgrade a bathroom or countertop later. This is super important to remember, and most people forget about it, focusing instead on the finishes instead of the things that they cannot change later. You don't want to make that mistake. But before we get into picking the right home in the neighborhood, I want to tell you about a guide that we put together. We took the same buying and selling process we run with our clients, and we turned it into a short step-by-step guide for 2026, and it walks you through protecting your money from here on out, the pricing strategies, the inspection strategies, and writing an offer that wins without overpaying for the house. There's a link in the description if you want it open next to you while you go through the rest of this video. Now let's keep going. Every city has pockets that feel completely different from one another, and the neighborhood you choose affects everything from your commute to the schools to how the home holds its value over time. So do the legwork before you're under pressure to buy a home. Drive through the areas you're considering at different times of day. Walk around it, listen to the noise, and see how things really feel when you actually get your feet on the ground there. Get a real feel for it, and if you'd actually really be happy living there. Then narrow it down to a specific list of neighborhoods rather than an entire map. I usually frame like how far north we're going to go, how far south, how far east, how far west. And location is going to have a big impact on how much you pay for the house. You typically need to balance your budget with your drive time to work. Like the closer you get to the big cities like Seattle, Everett, your prices are going to get more expensive. When you get to more rural areas, you get a lot more house for the money. There's no right answer, it's just whatever's right for you. Maybe you want a lot more house and you're okay driving. Maybe you want a smaller house because you want to have a minimal commute. You just want to make sure you figure that out and get clarity for it. One thing I do want to mention is I want to make sure that when you buy your first home, you don't look at this as through the lens of it being your forever house. It's totally okay to buy a starter home, start building equity and appreciation, knowing that later on you're going to buy the actual dream house. Most people buy 5 homes over their lifetime, and typically the dream home is home number 3 or number 4. It's not number 1. So you don't have to get the dream house in the first time you buy. You just want to get a home that's going to meet your needs for the first 3 to 5 years. And then you probably sell that home after you've updated it and then buy the next level up. Step number 6, find the house and check the comps. Step number 6 is the part that everyone thinks of as the whole process, the actual house hunting, touring homes. Except now you're doing it with a plan instead of just scrolling through homes on Zillow. Because you did all the prep, this stage is a lot less stressful than it is for most people. It's a ton of fun. You and your agent look at homes that actually fit your price range and the neighborhoods you want to be at. You go see the ones you like in person, and you keep your needs and wants list right there with you. So a pretty kitchen doesn't talk you out of the things that you actually need. When you find one you love, before you get attached to a number, you have your agent pull the comps, which are the recent sales of similar homes nearby, so you can see whether the asking price is actually what the home is worth or just what the seller is hoping for. That comp check is what protects you from overpaying because it lets you make the offer based on what the home is actually worth instead of how much you actually want to pay for it. This is the same process an appraiser goes through when you actually put the home under contract for getting your loan. Once you've seen the home and you're comfortable with the comps and it still lines up with your why and your targets, you're ready to actually make the move on it and put the offer together. And because you did all the work up front, you can now move fast without scrambling or stressing out. And let me be clear, this is your agent's job to do this, not yours. You should not be the one pulling comps. 100% you need to ask your agent to do this on every home you really like that you're thinking about putting an offer in. You want to really see the value substantiated. You also need to think about the days on market and how long that home has been listed. If the home has been on the market for 2 or 3 months, that's going to be a totally different offer strategy than a home that just came on the market 2 days ago. Think about the seller's mindset when you're putting your offer together. Step number 7, make the offer and get to closing. The last step is writing the offer and getting through closing, and this is where all that preparation, it finally pays off. Your offer is more than just a price. You and your agent put together a contract that lays out what you're willing to pay, the type of loan you're using, any credits you're asking the seller to cover towards your closing costs, and the contingencies that protect you along the way. These contingencies matter because they're your way of being able to protect yourself and keep your deposit intact if an inspection turns up something serious, if the appraisal comes in low, or if your financing falls through for some reason. You don't want to risk losing your earnest money, and a well-written contract will protect your earnest money. The seller can accept, reject, or counter your offer. Most often it's a counter, and once you reach an agreement, you're under contract and the closing process begins, what we call the escrow or contract to close phase. Within our team, we look at about 35 different contract variables to balance protecting our clients while also being competitive in our offer. It's very much possible to do both. It just takes someone that knows contracts inside and out, and that's done this hundreds of times. From there, it usually runs about 30 days and a handful of things that happen in sequence from there to actually close on the house. The first big thing that happens once you're under contract is the inspection, where you bring in a professional to find anything that could cost you serious money down the road, which is exactly why you never want to skip it. We're not worried about little cosmetic things. We're worried about big ticket items like mechanical issues, structural concerns, things like that. After the inspection is the appraisal. It's where the lender confirms the home is actually worth what you agreed to pay for it before they fund the loan. And because you check the comps, you know that home is going to appraise just fine. And then, of course, there's the title search, which makes sure there's a legal claim to the property, no weird easements that you don't know about, things like that. When all this comes back clean and your lender gives you the final approval, you'll review your closing numbers, sign the paperwork, and then on closing day, you'll actually get the keys to the house. And one last thing to remember, do not miss your first mortgage payment, because there's a built-in gap of a month or more between closing and that first payment, and people forget it's coming. After that, you're a homeowner and you got there because you had a plan the whole way through. So that's the full game plan. 7 steps from the first time you think about buying to the day you walk through your own front door. And you probably noticed that almost none of this is about the house itself. It's actually about being prepared. So when the right place shows up, you're ready to move on it instead of watching it slip away or being totally stressed and scrambling. If you're somewhere in this process right now, you want a real person in your corner who's walked countless families through it and helped more than 1,600 people buy a house, well, there's a link in the description to get in touch with us. Fill out the short form, tell us where you're at in the process, and my team and I will take a look at it and reach out if I think we're a good fit to help you. Either way, you've now got the plan. So go start working on it, and I'll see you on the next video.